Motion to move into committee of the whole, please. Moved by Councillor Ryan, second by Councillor Chapman. Questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Are there any declarations of interest? Being none, Commissioners Report 2016, Committee of the Whole, number 1, Durham Energy Construction Update. Do I have a mover? Oh, we don't move anything in Committee of the Whole, do we?
Yep.
Yes. Do I have a mover moved by Councillor Ryan, second by Councillor Pidwerbecki? Questions on item, Committee of the Whole, item 1. Councillor Diamond?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My first question is, if this report is passed, is that considered to have excluded the confidential report?
No.
Is it assumed then that the confidential report will not be needed? This says authorized to execute all documents associated with the recommendations.
Mr. Gasco, I was under the impression that item 1 was separate from item 2. Am I wrong? Either one of our lawyers?
I didn't think so. Yeah, item 1 is separate from item 2, Your Worship.
So we will still then have the opportunity for item 2.
Absolutely.
Okay. I must first, Mr. Chairman, express my enormous concern that any of this is to be considered in a closed meeting. This information should be public. It should not be split off. And I noticed in the confidential report how many times it said why this was so important. I believe that the public information is more important than those issues. The public should have the opportunity to speak to it. In terms of this report, I point out on page 5 of 12 that the cost increases will cover the continuing delay, additional expertise support needed for. Look at all the things that have still not been resolved. Steam temperature and boiler modification, CO and VLN NOx optimization, boiler water quality and quantity issues, ACC repairs and testing, oversight of extended shutdown outage activities, stack tests and repeat of dioxin and furan tests, ECA compliance review and tracking, life cycle repairs assessment, IESO, HONI, Hydro Ontario issues, turbine generator issues. Just in itself, Mr. Chairman, it speaks to, in the vernacular, how many band-aids are being put on this process to have it move forward. I'm extremely concerned that we are already over a year past when it was supposed to be completed and the compliance testing done, and yet there are still questions in this report. I do have one question from page 7. There was an issue of the independent electricity system operator and Hydro 1, and non-conformance identified, that it was the generation of electricity to the grid. Was there sufficient waste to generate this electricity?
Mr. Curtis?
Yes, there was.
Even while, and all the outages?
Yes, there was.
Okay, thank you. And just a further question, I should have asked those first, I apologize. In terms of outages, obviously we are not experts in incineration, and yet we are, as has been repeatedly pointed out, the owners, and we will ultimately be responsible. Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the Commissioner, in the year plus that this incinerator process, to have it into working order, has been, well, the time it's been delayed, we've had outages, boiler breakdowns, different equipment that has failed, questionable test results. What is the confidence level now of the staff, and particularly to you, sir, as a professional engineer, that these issues are going to be appropriately, adequately, and completely handled?
The advice I've received from our consultant, HDR, is that we are in a state that we are ready to proceed. As you know, they would have passed the acceptance test except for the fairly minor issue of the amount of ash quantity.
Thank you, Commissioner. And again, I'm bound by the confidentiality of the other report, Mr. Chairman, which is extremely frustrating. To the language of it's only minor, it isn't much, it's just a little, don't worry. Cumulatively, and the list that I read out, there are still major issues. We still have issues in terms of I just want to get the correct wording here. The West Crane portion. I'm sorry, we've got so many pages. So in overall on the report, in what I am at this stage allowed to say publicly, I continue to be concerned about the appropriate construction. A company that brags that it has 40 sites across North America should not be 14, 15 months late. A company that is supposed to be that good, we should not have had cost overruns. We still have issues for the electricity. We still have issues about the railroad tunnel, etc. And I do not believe that that we are at the stage where we should be saying, as the owners, we are sufficiently informed, we are confident in terms of the public. I think we still have major concerns, and I do not think we should be proceeding at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Collier.